I don't know why I want to do this video. I just saw this in my recommendations and I was looking for another video to react to. And it just kind of intrigued me. There's times in my life where I feel like I'm living in a different side of America, because you have inner city people versus obviously redneck living spaces are different than inner city people. And then you have the suburban lifestyle, then you have the country lifestyle, then you have the farmer lifestyle, and then you have obviously the wealthy lifestyle. There's a lot of different lifestyles that dwells here in this country. And I think that this video tries its best to kind of squish all that, because I watch a bunch of Watch Mojo's videos throughout just like years just being on this platform, and I watch it obviously off screen, and it all just depends on what I've been looking up, or it all depends on just what's trending on their page. They upload like what, 5 videos a day sometimes on their website, you know, on their channel. Some things actually do interest me, especially things with Marvel, DC, anime, or just random stuff that I've looked up before, and it first thing pops up was a Watch Mojo video. I decided to click on it. You know, I'm inner city, I'm Hispanic or Latino, however you want to describe it. I'm Puerto Rican and Cuban, born here in Jersey. So whatever the proper term of I am, Hispanic, Latino, I don't know. There's so much shit about Hispanics and Latinos that I still don't know. And I asked other Latinos and they don't even know what's the difference between Hispanics and Latinos. And Hispanics who are Hispanics don't know the difference between the Latinos, and the Latinos who are Hispanics who are not Hispanics, who may be Latinos, don't know if they are Latinos or Hispanics, or they're Spanish. I don't know what I'm saying. 20 things only Americans do and they think it's normal. Let's see if I do any of these 20 things, because I am American. But let's see if I'm this style of American. Yeah.
Good call on these outfits, dude.
It's the only call. You know what I mean?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 things only Americans do.
Get a ton.
For this list, we're looking at common beliefs and practices in the United States. They don't need to be exclusively American, just something that Americans are known for. If there's something uniquely American that didn't make our list, unite in the comments to state your picks.
Okay,
Number
American
20,
flag.
refer to the USA as America.
Yeah, I do that. Fun fact, it's like Mexico. In Mexico, they don't call it Mexico. And even with us, we call it Mexico. In reality, it's the United States of Mexico. You can fact check me. It's the United States of Mexico, or Estados Unidos Mexicanos. Fuck
Outside of the
yeah!
United States of America, referring to the country as America is much less commonplace. After all, there are 2 entire continents called America, comprising like 35 distinct nations. Referring
Yeah,
to
South
only
America,
one
North
country
America.
on one of those continents as America too is really confusing for anyone who doesn't live there.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
Calling it the US, USA, the United States, or just the States is much more common in the rest of the world. Even so, everyone still calls its residents Americans, which isn't confusing at all.
You can't say it, but you know it's true.
Number 19, throw gender reveal parties. Cultures the world over have traditions to prepare expecting parents and celebrate the expected
Yeah, my
birth of a
sister did
child.
that.
Thank you so much for throwing me this baby shower, girls. I feel so welcome to the neighborhood.
Of course.
However, Americans have really taken the concept and run with it. An entire industry has been built around baby showers, as well as their modern relatives' gender reveal parties. Emerging in the 2000s, the latter have become infamous for sometimes absurd levels of showmanship.
Yeah.
Some over-the-top reveals have been responsible for injuries and even disasters.
Yeah,
They
forest
remain
fire.
somewhat somewhat controversial, with many people, including Americans, not really getting why they're often made into such big deals.
I don't know why, but I'm like gonna cry.
Oh my gosh, why are you gonna cry?
Because I'm just really happy for you.
You look like it.
You
look like you're happy.
Number 18, experience huge bathroom stall gaps.
Yes. I don't understand that. Like when they design it, they're like, okay.
Every country's restrooms have their own quirks, like different sinks and toilet bowls. The US is known for having a high volume of water in their bowls and large gaps in their bathroom stalls, both under the door and between the door and the walls. Visitors can be taken aback at the lack of privacy. Some hold that they're designed for easy cleaning or construction. Others that it allows one to check which stalls are occupied, although occupancy indicators on the locks can do that too.
Maybe so you can see if there's someone in there.
Isn't that why we have locks on the doors?
Well, as a backup system, in case a lock is broken, you can see if it's taken.
A backup system?
It might also make it more difficult to get up to no good in there. Whatever the case, public bathrooms in the US are built for speed, not comfort.
Would you just sit down and go to the bathroom already?
Number 17, have pharmacies that sell groceries. In most of the world, pharmacies sell exactly what their name implies,
Really?
pharmaceuticals. While you will see tangentially related items like grooming products or hygienic things like toothbrushes, pharmacies don't usually carry food or toys. But in the US, that's much more common.
Yeah.
It is all about the all-in-one experience. Not only will dedicated grocery stores have
Yeah,
pharmacies built
CVS
in,
has
but
like
pharmacies will also carry groceries.
snacks.
Granted,
Yeah.
the selection isn't always
Creamers.
great, but if you're desperate for milk and the grocery store is closed or you just don't feel like crossing the street to get there, you can get some. While most of the world still limits
Wow.
drugstores to drugs and self-care products, we have a feeling this one might catch on. Number 16, vote before they can drink. Worldwide, the age at which a person can legally drink
Makes no
alcohol
goddamn
is
sense,
most
but
commonly 18. The age usually considered to be adulthood, though it is even earlier in some countries. The voting age on a global scale is also generally 18, for similar reasons. Although, of course, there are exceptions.
The Voting Rights Act of 1970 lowered the voting age to 18 for national elections, and the 26th Amendment made the change to 18 permanent for all elections.
And 18 is where it has stayed for the past 50 years.
However, the United States requires young adults to
Parts
wait
of Puerto
3
Rico,
years
you could
after
drink
being
at
able to
16.
vote before legally being allowed to drink at 21. This was enacted during the 1980s to prevent alcohol-related driving accidents.
This law has been an abysmal failure. It hasn't reduced or eliminated drinking. It has simply driven it underground, behind closed doors, into the most risky and least manageable of settings.
While it helped in the short term, ultimately it hasn't really stopped teenagers from drinking. The result is that many people, both inside and outside the US, question the logic of why an 18-year-old American can decide who forms the government but not get buzzed.
Yeah,
The reality is everyone
who could form the government, could die for the country, could drive a car, could start paying taxes, could start doing everything independently, no longer, guardianship of the parents. They're completely on their own, tried as an adult, or they are adults, so they get tried or prosecuted normally now. Everything, all the brakes is off, completely off at 18, but you still have the training wheels. Basically all the other training wheels you have is off, but the training wheels of drinking is still on you when you're 18. But here's a gun, here's this, here's the vote, here's the build the future of this country. Go take this AR and let's go to this country and take their oil because we want it. You gotta pay this bill. IRS, God forbid you don't pay IRS, you will be imprisoned. Oh my God, God forbid you drink this yeast beverage called beer. God forbid you drink this bread water called beer before 21. That rights taken away and you will be charged as an adult because you are an adult. You're not adult enough to drink, but you're adult enough to pew pew people I don't know. This country's weird.
drinks before they turn 21. That's why when you go out for your first legal drink, you have to react with that faux surprise like you've never heard of alcohol before. Ooh, what does this alcohol taste like? Oh, it's unusual. Oh, this is true.
Number 15,
True.
get free refills. One of the biggest differences
That I
between
did know.
American restaurants and the rest of the world are their drink services. Most American and many Canadian restaurants and other establishments will offer at least one free refill of a non-alcoholic drink.
Refill. Free! Where is it going?
The idea is that because of the low cost of drinks, particularly fountain soft drinks, offering a refill won't hurt the establishment's bottom line, particularly if drinks are not the primary source of income. However, the idea has been slow to catch on in the rest of the world, and it's nowhere near as consistently offered. Some countries have raised concern that a practice like this can lead to an increase in obesity. Number 14, tip service personnel.
Oh,
All right, everybody
God.
cough up some green for the little lady.
I never worked a tipping job, but I could only imagine how it is. I feel bad for those who have tipping jobs. Because most Americans are just fucking piece of shits.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
While the concept of tipping waitstaff or other people in the service industry is known worldwide, few countries have embraced the concept to the degree the US has.
Labor movements declare the practice undemocratic, and anti-tipping legislation was enacted across several states. But restaurants and rail operators like the Pullman Company embraced tipping because it allowed them, among other things, to hire recently freed slaves without having to pay them.
Many workers, particularly in the restaurant industry, rely on gratuities to get by, in part because laws allow managers to pay sub-minimum wages to tipped workers. However, in various other countries, tipping is seen as insulting.
Yeah.
They're just doing their jobs after all.
Each year, Americans spend $40 billion on tips. That's more than we spend on foreign aid and more than we spend on gambling. And like gambling, it's not entirely clear that tipping makes any sense in the first place.
While some countries' workers certainly appreciate it, it isn't expected like it is in the US. Mostly because employees are paid a high enough baseline salary that they don't need tips to survive.
Restaurant owners still pay their servers less than minimum wage, turning what used to be a bribe into an obligation that makes the end of every meal suck.
Number 13, obsess.
That's the point. It's like you expect the most out of these servers, and I've been to hundreds, maybe thousands of restaurants growing up and just my life. I'm a foodie. Obviously, with the little titties you see on screen, I love eating. It's America. We're obese. But one of my favorite pastime hobbies to do with the missus is finding different restaurants to basically find. I want to see who has the best steaks. I want to see who has the best pastas. I want to see who has the best pizzas. I want to see who has the best Asian, foods of either, Chinese backgrounds or Japanese background or Korean, background or, Korean barbecues. I like to discover who has the best of depending of whatever I'm in the mood for. Ramen, I go to New York, find different ramen shops, sit down, service is always good, all that kind of sorts, and then I tip. But it completely sucks to know that my tip is what's feeding them. Their bosses are not feeding them. Their life is hanged by me. And with the concept of what a lot of these Americans nowadays is if I get subpar or just a basic amount of service, I'm just gonna give them either $1 or $2 or nothing at all because they did their job. They're getting paid for it. Yeah, $2.50 an hour. That's all they're getting. Some jobs $3 an hour. Other jobs $2.75. They get paid way below minimum wage. And the fact that their life is waiting on us to be generous to them, and they have to have this facade of a nice human being or being very cordial and very just appreciative to us, and on our beck and call. Oh, I need forks, I need this, I need that. They have to stop what they're doing 1,000 times a day because me hungry, me want fork, me want drink, me want this, me want that. I may have never done service industry stuff, but I see it. That's why I try my best to bother my server as least as possible, or unless they approach me, and then I will put in my critique or information or whatever, like, hey, my steak was not, asked for medium. Unfortunately, it was close to well done, but don't worry about it. It was still delicious. You don't have to bring it back and whatever. I understand life. I worked customer service. I understand how it is on both sides. And before becoming customer service manager, I was the customer. I know how frustrating it can be on all sides. So I can only imagine how it is to be working in the service industry. So be kind to them. Give them tips. But at the same time, America, we're in fucking 2023, about to be 2024. Abolish fucking tips. Make the billion-dollar companies pay them fair wages. Like, come on. It's literally the rich is getting more richer. And what? We're gonna give them 20. Oh my god, here's 3 cents extra an hour. Now you could, I don't know, put a bumper sticker on your car now that you're barely affording or you're living in because we don't pay you well. But hey, here's 3 extra cents an hour. So now you can get an air freshener in your car. It's not gonna be enough for your rent. Here's 3 extra cents. Hopefully the family you get are not struggling like you are, because 90%, over 99% of America is struggling and we're all poor. But hopefully they will pay you what we could, but we don't want to.
Number 13, obsess over the military. The American military is probably the best in the world, as it should be, since it's also one of the best funded militaries in the world.
Yeah.
In fact, the US spends several times more on their military than their nearest competitor, China. What's more, there are more than a few American citizens who have a higher than average fascination with their own military and its culture.
I thank you as your commander-in-chief because you inspire me. Your willingness to serve, to step forward at a time of war and say, send me, is the reason the United States stays strong and free.
While other countries certainly appreciate their troops, you don't, see as many people wearing camouflage as a legitimate fashion statement. Likewise, you don't see movies made elsewhere that glorify the military to the degree that the US does.
Do me a favor. Tell my children I love them very much. All right, you alien assholes! In the words of my generation, up yours!
Part of the American enthusiasm is certainly rooted in patriotism. Still, it may also be a reaction to an increasingly anti-military sentiment that has popped up over the last several decades.
No war, okay? No war, okay? Oh, here you go, boys. These will help you protest. It's good to see that you care about peace, boys, okay?
Number 12, use red plastic cups. If you've ever seen an American movie where a college party happens, chances are you've seen characters drinking from red cups.
Yeah. Red Solo cups. I have them in my kitchen.
These red plastic or Solo cups are everywhere in the US. The cheap drinking containers are a favorite at parties, both for their durability and their ease of use in party games.
Yeah.
While they're also handy for crafts or gardening, they're most famous for their intended purpose. However,
disposable.
The rest of the world
I mean,
either
washing
doesn't have
dishes.
the United States party culture's emphasis on kegs or lacks the same distinctive cups, originally manufactured by the Solo Cup Company. At most, you might see them at a novelty American-themed party. Number 11.
What do people who are watching this, that's in different parts of the world, as in the UK, Ireland, Mexico, Canada, wherever you're from, wherever you hail from, that's not America. I obviously understand there's other variation of disposable cups. And yes, we use a lot of the red Solo cups because it's just extremely freaking cheap. And why the hell would I allow 20, 30, 40 people to use glass cups or buy plastic cups that I have to wash? Saves me time. I just get the cheapest cups, which are typically the red Solo cups, and just call it a day. What do I use? Do y'all use just your standard clear plastic cups and just call it a day? If so, then yeah, that's fine. I do the same thing too. I have red solo cups. You know, that's for like drinks. But then I also have my standard small, I would say smaller than this can plastic cups. But let me know in the comment section.
Shoes inside. Taking off your shoes
I did
before
not do
you
that.
enter a home, or at least in the entryway, is pretty common etiquette in many countries.
That's common etiquette in Puerto Rico.
Why'd you take your shoes off? So I don't break your nose.
And while many Americans do prefer to keep footwear off their floors, it isn't a hard and fast rule like it is in other places. Often it will depend on whether the person has carpeted floors or hardwood floors, with the latter considered easier to clean. Since it's not considered the norm though, asking guests to take off their shoes indoors can come across as rude or fussy, and so is often avoided. Number 10, eat peanut butter as their go-to spread. Peanuts are grown and eaten in many parts of the world. But it's the United States and Canada that do most of the peanut butter eating.
Peanut butter man now, is there?
I love peanut butter, so I feel targeted.
I am.
I've done that too. I have
A lot of
gotten.
countries see it as a niche or even unpleasant taste. Others have a
Really?
spread that is more culturally ingrained, like Nutella.
Nah.
The USA cannot get enough of peanut butter, though,
Yeah.
consuming over 1 billion pounds of it annually. January 24th is even National Peanut Butter Day. It's a cheap source of protein that most American children grow up eating. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
no
what happened to
wonder
me.
that it's a comfort food for many of them.
Yeah.
Number 9.
I've literally gotten spoons at night at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes. Whenever I just want whenever I want like a little snack, I get my big spoon, go to my peanut butter jar, and just take maybe 2 or 3 spoonfuls and call it a day.
Work too much. Americans are workaholics. At least
We have no
compared to
choice.
basically every other country in the world. The majority of Americans work more than 40 hours a week.
We have no
do this
choice.
to ourselves?
Because
Well, the conventional answer is that
CEOs
this attitude towards work
cut our
makes the
wages
American economy
and they take the
envy of
profits.
the world. America is a hectic,
Instead of
turbocharged
spreading the
system
profits.
that builds, destroys, rebuilds, all at warp speed.
They also tend to lack many of the things the rest of the world takes for granted.
Yes.
Like paid holidays, as
Yes.
well as sick and parental leave.
Yes.
Research has shown that happier, less stressed workers do better at their jobs.
Yes.
Iceland even recently tried a 4-day work week that proved wildly successful.
There's lots of other benefits to a 4-day working week. It's not just the it's not just the mental health and economy, good for the economy. It's also environmental benefits too. Evidence looks like
People are
when
happier.
we're commuting less as a result of a 4-day week, that brings down emissions. Also,
Yes.
energy consumption goes down. So this is a policy that's win-win for the environment, for workers, for employers. What's not to like about it?
Several European countries take long breaks for lunch. While the American drive is admirable, grind culture becomes problematic when it costs workers their mental health and
Yes.
well-being. Number
Yeah.
8, make small talk with strangers. Americans are
Maybe don't do
known for
that.
their friendliness towards strangers, especially outside of big cities.
Really?
It's not uncommon for Americans to smile at each other in passing, but their comfort with new people also extends to small talk, saying hello or even striking up a conversation out of the blue.
If you are seated in an emergency exit row, and feel you would be unable or unwilling to perform the duties listed on the safety card, please ask a flight attendant to reseat you.
In many countries, speaking to strangers unprompted can be seen as intrusive or even risky. Many Americans are
New
masters
Yorkers,
of the
we just
art
mind our
though,
own fucking
often
business.
happy to chat with people they've never met about the weather, sports, or whatever else comes up in conversation.
It looks like a carrot, honey.
Who looks like a carrot? Hi.
Number 7.
It depends on where you go to. Inner city, we just mind our own fucking business. When I'm in a New York subway train, I don't talk to no fucking body. Nobody is there having conversations with a random person in New York. Unless as a person wearing a jersey and they see somebody with the opposite competitor jersey. Like if you're a fan of the fucking Lakers and you see somebody wearing, I don't know sports that well. Let's just say you're Cowboys and you see somebody with the Miami Dolphins. You might make a comment like, oh, look at that booty ass team. And then the person like, well, at least my quarterback could ABC XYZ. And then the person's like, well, my point guard could ABC XYZ. And they have a little conversation. It seems kind of aggressive, but that's just how people who are sport fanatics they get with each other. And that's common in bars, that's common at cigar lounges, that's common in sometimes clubs or just walking the streets in New York or inner cities. But most of the times we just fucking keep it moving. We don't give a shit about other people's lives. We don't do small talk. Unless we see something that's we're into, that's a very niche market, and we see someone else rocking something from that very niche market that I like or they like, then yeah, it might strike up a little conversation, but that's about it.
Casually own guns. In many countries, gun laws are strict and gun ownership
Fake,
is
by the
relatively
way,
rare.
but
In the US, gun ownership is protected by the Second Amendment, and gun ownership is the highest in the world. Despite making up 4% of the global population, Americans own 46% of civilian-held firearms. There's a distinct gun
That's
culture
horrible.
where gun ownership is celebrated or at least seen as important for personal safety.
Makes no sense.
Most states even allow you to open carry.
But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces?
My guns.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
That's
Of course,
okay for me.
the
I
issue
just
is
started
extremely
blasting.
divisive due to the country's high rate of gun deaths. Either way, the idea of having so many guns around is a novel one for many visitors.
Makes no sense.
Lots of guns.
Number 6.
We should not have this much guns. I'm gonna say a very hot take. Y'all not gonna like me for this. The Second Amendment should be abolished or should be tweaked. Y'all may unsubscribe from me or might not like me. That's how the fuck I feel. Second Amendment should be tweaked because only reason why we had the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms was at the time point where, yes, you as the individual, or if you were to form a group of people to overthrow said group of individuals that may run a certain protocol branch. I'm not going to say the whole words because obviously just, yeah. But if you wanted to, you could have in the 1700s with fucking 50 muskets, Colt revolver, and maybe a saber and a few horses. That was doable back then. Today's generation, you think you with a Glock 9, a Uzi, and a AK-47, and your buddies with a, I don't know, M9, a Beretta, and all that kind of stuff. You think you and your goons are friends that only have the standard civilian models are gonna take on people that has heat-seeking missiles, that has infrared lasers and drones and all this other elaborate stuff, tanks, bulletproof paddings on everything, and bulletproof glass, and ultrasonic waves, and flash grenades, and other types of things that we don't even know of because war stuff is different than we have here on the, for civilians. You think we stand a chance? Come on. So it needs to be tweaked. We will never have the power as individuals, even if 30 million of us band together. It would take 20 people in a room filled with just nukes, filled with nuclear weapons and other types of explosions with infrared, heat-seeking, silos, whatever, to just hit 4 buttons and we just be realistic. It needs to be tweaked.
Put sales tax on everything.
Sales tax is paid when you buy something, and the business you purchased your goods from sends that money to the government. There are 2 types of sales tax: general sales tax and excise taxes. General sales tax is a tax levied on most goods you buy.
Yep.
Excise taxes are taxes levied only on certain items.
Most countries enact a value-added tax, or VAT, on goods or services purchased within their borders. These taxes are collected from every person in the supply chain, from the distributors to the consumers. The United States is one of the few to use sales tax, which not only vary wildly from state to state, but are only enacted after a purchase has been made.
The state treasury depends on sales taxes to pay for road repairs, education, and medical care for children, seniors, and the poor.
They're also not listed in the initial price, which can leave foreign visitors and many Americans scratching their head as to
Yeah,
why they're being charged.
because I know
more than
in
the
different
price on
countries
the
they actually
product.
show the price
Better or worse,
of end
you
sale
decide. It's certainly
on
more confusing.
the shelves.
Advice then, if you're going to buy a big ticket item, where's the cheapest sales tax?
Well, you know, you can go online and look at all the sales tax rates for different cities, and if you look at one dealership or one, you know, Best Buy or something like that, you can find the different zip codes and look at the sales tax rates and just see how much that'll little take off, and then take your family out for a nice night.
There you go.
Number 5, recite a pledge of allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag
to the flag of
the United States of America.
In many
And to
parts
the
of
republic
United
for which it
States,
stands, one
school
nation under
children
God.
and adults in some settings are expected
Yeah.
to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Back then in 1892, when it was written by Francis Bellamy, Bellamy was a Baptist minister, and in conjunction with a magazine called The Youth's Companion, he wrote this, at that time, 23-word Pledge of Allegiance.
This is an expression that they will be
Pledge of
loyal
allegiance
to the
under
USA
God.
and is usually performed daily while looking
okay.
at the nation's flag,
That's
which
23
you
words.
will find hanging everywhere, by the way.
Yeah.
This isn't something other countries do. They might salute or respect their flag and country, but to make school children recite an oath to the country, the pledge has been the
Every day
subject
too?
of plenty of controversy within the US too, particularly since it mentions God. While some schools no longer require it, it remains a widespread practice.
Bottom line is, we all look different, sound different, but we are all on the same team.
Number 4, watch ads for
Not ready.
prescription drugs.
True.
Aside from New Zealand, the United States is the only country in the world that advertises prescription drugs directly to consumers. Every day, Americans are bombarded with ads for prescription medications, featuring
Yep.
generic, pleasing imagery and a list of side effects longer than a flagpole.
Side effects may include upper respiratory infection, stuffy or runny nose, and sore throat and headache.
Many people, Americans
death,
included,
and
are
death.
baffled by the practice, as doctors and not patients are meant to decide what drugs to prescribe. Proponents claim that advertising increases competition and lowers drug costs. Meanwhile, prescription drugs are typically far more expensive in the United States, as the U.S.
Exactly.
doesn't regulate or negotiate drug prices. Number 3, put months before days. Most of humanity marks calendar dates as being day first, then month, then year.
Which makes sense.
Assuming the first two numbers are some big old space date, then you've got year, month, day. It's the other way around like it is in America.
Or else the opposite as year, month, then day. The reasoning is that you can go from the shortest value to the longest or vice versa. Yet the United States and parts of Canada eschew both these formats by putting the month first, then day, then year. The US has been using this format basically since its founding, although it has used the day first format interchangeably too. The exact reason why is debatable, but as far as
Laziness
practicality
and just-
goes, it can be useful when filling out forms to know which month it is before which day or year. Number 2, go bankrupt from healthcare. Medical costs are the cause of over 60% of all bankruptcies in the United States.
In 2017, 1/3 of the money raised on GoFundMe went towards medical campaigns. And the site raises $650 million a year for more than 250,000 medical campaigns.
Americans experience a variety of unexpected charges while getting much needed care. From surprise bills
Ask
to being
for a
charged
itemized bill. Watch your
According
costs
to one
drop.
study, 71% of all ambulance providers do not take the patient's insurance. That same study found that 79% of patients who took an ambulance could get a surprise bill,
Yes.
with an average total around $450.
That's generous.
In some
Usually
parts of the
$2,000
civilized
for an
world,
ambulance.
Even seeing a medical bill can be an uncommon occurrence. Healthcare worldwide tends to be much more regulated than it is in the US. It's either funded through taxes in a single-payer system or else through individual insurers who are more strictly monitored.
I've known people who Ubered
Instead of every private
instead of
insurance
taking
company
a
negotiating
ambulance.
with every healthcare provider, there's just this big list. Country, the central government, they go and they say, if you want to sell to us, to all of our people, then here's what you can charge for a checkup. Here's what you can charge for an MRI or a prescription for Lipitor.
Bottom line, while there can sometimes be extra charges, for most of the world, medical debt is basically unheard of, except in horror stories about the US.
Can't get a credit card. I can't buy a house. I don't see me ever being out of debt.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Okay.
Number 1, use the imperial measurement system.
Oh, yeah.
Can you explain to me how the country that can send men and hopefully women to the moon
and beyond.
Still are in gallons and inches? And when the entire world is metric, I do not understand this.
There are 3 countries in the world that don't use the metric system: Myanmar, Liberia, and the United States. Objectively, metric is the less arbitrary measurement system since everything goes by tens. Even Britain and Commonwealth countries have converted.
The point is, the US system has always been a little more accessible than metric. Sure, stacking up 12 thumb widths to make a foot, that's still kind of weird, but it's not so weird that we're clamoring to change it.
Although admittedly, they do still use measurements like feet and inches casually.
So now I can't ask a distance when I visit another country. I'm like, how far is that? They're like, that's 500 kilometers. I'm not in the Olympics.
So why hasn't the US converted? We'll give you one guess. Did you say it's because of money? Because money is definitely a big factor. Converting to a whole new system of measurement is expensive. Other factors include a need for control and stability of the US. So inertia, basically. Why change when you don't need to? And you know what your mom says? If all the other countries jumped off a bridge, would the US do it too? Or something like that.
A 2015 Rasmussen poll asked Americans if we should switch to the metric system and adopt Celsius as our main temperature scale. 64% said no, while 21% said yes, and the remaining 15% was undecided. So it looks like we're perfectly fine with being different.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips.
Yeah, we're definitely different. And here. Oh no. This is my controversial take. This might be my controversial video I upload because I'm not a big fan of where this place is going. And I made it known a bunch of times, and I guess it's my first time saying it on a video. Don't think of me as a person that views life in a certain way. I don't care about nobody, no sides. I'm not a person that care about sides. I care about just my future kids, and at the moment how things are going, neither sides benefit my kids. So at the moment I'm gonna withhold having my own life because I can't even afford to own life. Simple as that. America's weird. We do things very differently and oddly. There's just some things that we do that's just magical and just its own thing. For just a good example, just people who live in different parts of the world, in the UK, Ireland, Switzerland, Japan, China, South Korea, Africa, whatever, that will die just to see all the lights of New York City, especially Times Square. The different ethnicities that we have in Times Square is also just mind-blowing. Going to Times Square, walking around Manhattan, or walking around Chelsea, walking around the Bronx, Harlem, Queens, Jamaica, just going around that area, the boroughs, you see so many different ethnicities. And typically when you're from around the world, it's more spread out. You have your little cultural area and whatever, but sometimes they just stick with each other. While in New York and a lot of bigger inner cities, we exist with each other and we make our own culture all together. We have different backgrounds, and that's one thing that makes the city also beautiful, as well as America. That's my experience with America, because we will have community events where we'll come by and we'll have a DJ that's from the area as well, and you don't hear only one genre of music. You hear them play, reggaeton, and then salsa, which is Puerto Rican, music, and then they'll do dembow and merengue, which is Dominican, and they'll do rumba, which is Cuban, and then they'll do reggae, which is Jamaican. Then they'll do dance hall, which is predominantly known for like the Caribbeans or like the Africans. Then they'll do sometimes even Indian music, African music, even Arabic music, hip hop, R&B. We'll have parties for 5-10 hours, starting at 5 p.m. ending at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's like a block party, and cops are there hanging out with us, and other people are hanging out with us. Different ethnicities are hanging out, and you have flags everywhere from different backgrounds. That's what also makes us unique and awesome. Other than that, I'm gonna call it there. Hope you enjoyed this video and this reaction. If you enjoyed some of my takes, I hope it's fine. If you didn't, it's all good. It's just agree or disagree. But until next time, guys, as always, I love your faces, and I'm out. Peace.